This episode of Reverend Dan is brought to you by death. If you're over 50 or have a family history of colorectal cancer, this could be your last ride. Go get your pooper checked. Hello, Reverend Dan here. Since it's March, I figured I'd talk to you about something very important. It's Colorectal Cancer Awareness Month. I am a 2-year survivor of colorectal cancer. On August 29th of 2013, I went into the emergency room with abdominal pain and back pain, and I hadn't been passing bowel for a while, and I just was running fevers for a month, and I just didn't feel well. And that's when the doctor decided to dig a little further, and he discovered that there was a lump in my belly. And they did a CT scan, and he comes back in about 15 minutes later, and he says, well, we think we know what it is, and we're pretty sure we can treat it. And I looked at him and I said, treat it? He says, yeah, treat it. He says, we're pretty sure it's a big nasty cancer, and it's about the size of your fist. I was shocked. I says, well, what do we do now? And he says, well, the surgeon is on his way down to talk to you right now. And the surgeon came down, and he says, well, and he went over a few things, but he basically said I was going to have to go have surgery done to remove the tumor and the cancer and everything. Well, he ended up admitting me to the hospital, and we did a colonoscopy that following day to make sure that it was indeed cancer, and it was cancer. After the colonoscopy was done, I waited in the hospital for about another hour or so, and the doctor came back up and said that I could go home, but that I was supposed to come back the following Tuesday for surgery. And I was to stay on a liquid diet. You know, I had to drink and sure and things like that. Well, I went back in for the surgery on the September 3rd, and no bag. I didn't have to be put on a bag, and he wasn't sure how bad it was going to be, but he basically just reached in and he pulled it out and put the ends back together, and I woke up in a regular hospital room, and then began the real fight. The recovery from the surgery was no cakewalk. It was a lot of pain, and then about a month after surgery, I started my chemo. And on March 5th, 2014 was my last day of chemotherapy. I was disconnected then. What can I say? What can I recommend to people? If you're 50, set it up with your doctor to have a colonoscopy. That's only a little bit embarrassing. The worst part of it is the colon prep. You got to drink this stuff now. If you got a good doctor, they'll give you this stuff called movie prep. It's basically artificial sweetener, and that stuff really makes you go pretty good. Talk to your doctor. If you've got a history of it in your family, say you have more than one family member with colon cancer, chances are you're probably going to get it too. And I have it, my sister has it, my grandmother had it, my uncle had it. So I had a genetic test done, and it turns out I have Lynch syndrome, which meant that there was a pretty good chance that I was going to come down with colon cancer. Well, I came down with colon cancer. And anyway, if there's a history of it in your family, you could get checked earlier. Mine didn't present itself as cancer normally would. every now and then when I would wipe, after pooping or whatever, I would find blood on the paper, and it was shocking and surprising. And it looked like I killed somebody, and there was a lot of blood. But the doctors had looked and they said, "Oh, you just have hemorrhoids. You'll be all right." But I had always had this little pinch in my, it was about here. And I felt that for a good year or two. And it never made any sense, but it always felt like a little stitch. Like you get a stitch in your side when you're running. It just felt like a stitch. Well, it turned out that the blood that I kept seeing and that little stitch was turned out to stage 3A tumor. And it infected my lymph system. And anyway, that's why I had to go through chemo and all that good stuff. And yeah, 4 years before they found my cancer, I had a clean colonoscopy. Nothing. They didn't find even a polyp. So you gotta listen to your body and know what it's trying to tell you, and stay on the doctors if they tell you that you're okay. Go home, and if you know that you're not, if it's all in your head, then it's all in your head. But generally, when you're sick, and if the doctors aren't going to listen to you, find another one that will. You don't have to wait for somebody to come along, and it took me a while to finally figure out what was wrong with me, and when they found it, it was almost too late. Don't let that happen to you. Stay on the doctors. Doctors, listen to your patients. It's not that hard. Just get it done. That's all.